Hello, welcome to Legacy Building a Kingdom. I am Rudy Knapp. Today we have a very emotional topic where I want to say happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there that have truly made a difference in their children's lives. Today is emotional because, it holds dear to me. Being a father is such a badge of honor. It's a rewarding aspect that I don't think anyone else can feel unless you truly are a good father. It is something that we sit back and we find extremely rare nowadays, which is hard to say because it's such an important role in our children's lives. And I think that we understand that we're not comparing to mothers, and mothers have a completely different role. And it is interesting as I come from a topic last episode where we talk about the school system, and I'm doing a lot of blame game on the entire school system and all stakeholders. But I do talk about parenting as one of the major issues in the school system, and I believe that 100% true. I believe that's one of the major issues in our society now to this day. One thing that we have to start understanding is if you do your job as a parent and you do it the best of your ability and you actually have some very well put together, well rounded children, they still can make mistakes. And so I want you to understand that you can be the best parent out there. You can do everything right, as people would say in society, and you're still going to see that these children have free will, that they can make choices for themselves. And so when I think of being a father and my two at home, I've always told them this. I've always told them that my role in life is to make sure that you guys, those two, they can function and make decisions in life that are best to benefit themselves when I'm not there or if I'm not there at any point. They have to be able to be self sufficient throughout life and be able to live life without me. I will always be there. I will always be there to help. I will always be there to guide. I will always be there for advice, but they have to do it on their own. And I've created two kids along with their mother that are so self-sufficient that they don't need us like we want them to need us. And you know how it is as parents. You want your children to need you. You want them because you're holding on to this. They're babies. And as they get older, it's very difficult, especially mothers out there, very difficult for you to let go. And for fathers, it's kind of ingrained in us. That's our role. And our role is to give them structure. Our role is to be disciplinarians. Our role is to make sure that they're learning a lesson and they understand life is hard and they understand they have to persevere and they understand they have to get through things. And sometimes we're not very gracious in doing so. Our tone and our directness and we're assertive. And I get it. Very difficult at times, but way different role than mothers. I've had this conversation recently, and mothers are nurturers. And yes, they are disciplinarians as well. And yes, they can have structure. And yes, they can do everything men can do at times. But there really is a reason why there is a man and a woman in a relationship that raises children. I get divorce is such a high rate. I understand it. I've gone through it. And one of the things that we understand is my ex-wife and I, we will always, always put our children first. We will always make sure that they are raised properly. We will always make sure that we are a team when we do so, and that our children never see any discrepancies we have against each other, if we have any. And we do that because it's the benefit of them. They have to have two loving parents. They have to understand there is a role that each of us have, and they're not going to use us against each other. We are still a family, even though we're divorced. And if people could understand that role of your children come first, you will understand divorce can exist and be civil. So that's another topic for another time. But what we want to talk about is in order for our kids to realize that they are getting something from each one of their parents in two different dynamics, we have to be consistent in our efforts. And as a father, I take pride in this role. I wear it as a badge of honor. I love the idea that my kids can listen to me and learn from it, even though they don't want to. They're teenagers, and I'm sure they don't want to listen. This whole podcast was meant for them. And I don't know how much they've listened to it or not, and one day they will. I've listened to people recently tell me if I could just give back, I'll give back anything just to hear my father's voice again, just to hear his advice, just to be able to have a conversation with him. I mean, that's some eye-opening things, because a lot of us grow up with this hardness from fathers because of that structure, and so I'm not saying it's right or wrong, and I'm not saying that all fathers aren't different as well, but there is an overwhelming sense that the role of a father is to give you that understanding that, yeah, you have to be okay. You have to have this structure. You have to work hard. You have to, and usually it's done in a manner of modeling. These fathers are little of words and a lot of action. And I guess when I say that, I reword that, there's not a lot of conversation, communication as much as there is when it comes to action and modeling what you should be doing and how to live. And honestly, my own father, just to sit back and reflect a little bit, real interesting, because there are not a lot of good fathers out there. And I always reflect on my parents and my situation and where I'm at. Is there a lot of things that my dad did that maybe I wouldn't do? Sure. Is there a lot of things that he's done and he's instilled in who I am that makes me who I am? Absolutely. And I'm so forever thankful. It is a sense of pride to be able to say that I've learned from a man that never took a day off. It is a sense of pride to think about how many times I watched him work and work and work. When he would get home, work, fix, do, over and over and over again. And, you don't realize it. You don't see it when you're a kid. You definitely don't appreciate it and not understand what's actually happening, because you have mom there who loves you and gives you the hugs and says I love you and tucks you in and does all the things. And I'm not saying that dads can't do this, and again, I communicate well with my kids all the time. We have conversation all the time. I do that differently than my dad as much. My dad and I have more communication since I became an adult than I had when I was a child. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't there and didn't talk to me. There are things that when I look back at, everybody is unique and everybody is different and they get something from their parents. But wow, was I lucky. I was lucky to have a mom and a dad. And I was lucky to have two people every day consistent in my life. Every day I got to see that. And not everyone does. And so I feel for those people out there that, didn't have that on a daily basis, didn't have that model, that everyday experience. And we see the change in society because we don't. There's so many moms that, hats off to them, that do both roles. I mean, I've talked about this recently as well, but it's so hard. It's very, very hard to do both roles. For you to stand there and be that mom and that nurturer and that love and that teacher and all the things, and then have to still do the structure and the discipline and the modeling and going to work and providing for your kids, and you have to do all the things. You only have yourself. You don't have a partner to rely on. That's insanely hard. And I think what happens is a lot of the mothers, they resort to their motherly role, which they should, and that's great. And they struggle with the fatherly role. And I think there's many people are probably listening and go, well, you can do both, and, you can be both, and you definitely can. There can be people that are really good at it, and there can be a struggle at it. I find it very difficult. It's very difficult for me to do a motherly role and be a father. I am compassionate and I am empathetic at times, but there's times I'm direct and I'm very assertive. But I know what my children need, and they need the balance, and they need both parents, and they need us to understand that, I understand the strengths of my ex-wife, and I understand the strengths that I have, and we bring it to the table and understand it, and we support one another because those are our children. So as a father, that is a badge for me to be considered a good father, to have two children that have shown and proved it. We talk about parenting, when we talk about the school system and the blame, it's mainly because parents take blame, or they don't want to take blame because they feel offended. They're offended because their kids are a reflection on them. Well, I'm sorry to say, they are a reflection on you. And they still can make mistakes, even though you didn't train them to make mistakes, even though you didn't teach them, they can still make mistakes. And it's hard to really accept. But majority of the time, when you've raised them and you've shown them the right way and the core values that you instilled and all the things that we've been talking about on this podcast, they're going to make smart choices. they're going to go on into this world and be amazing. So I wanted to just talk this a little bit about what is it to be a great father? What are the attributes of being a great father? I do believe that fathers are represented by delayed gratitude. This is a time for us to express gratitude, appreciation, and love on Father's Day. And the funny joke has always been nobody knows when Father's Day is. Where does it rank on all holidays? What's all the way at the bottom? I disagree. It's such a rare find now, which is sad to say. I really feel like it's a rare find. With the handfuls of people that have some great fathers out there, I'm in a school system. We have many fathers that are not present, and it's awful because the children need that. We talk about behavior, we talk about certain things that come in place for the school system. Yeah, it's very difficult to be a single parent. And I would hope that people start understanding, even when you are a father and you are involved, whatever amount of time you are in your child's life, you need to be involved with an intention. You need to do your role and take it as an honor. And when you do that, hopefully you use the time that you have with your children effectively to prepare your children, because it's really hard to understand that you're a father and you're giving minimal effort and it's not important to you. So yeah, it's a difficult way to look at Father's Day, but I will say this on a positive note. I have surrounded myself with amazing people. I know so many great fathers out there that are my friends, and what they do for their kids. And I'm not just saying sports, because sports becomes a connection to fathers as well with coaching and things like that. But just the mere fact of daily life activities, add in all the sports and all the time they spend and the coaching and the things, amazing. But also doing fun trips, going and teaching them how to do things in life like hunt and fish. And, some of these guys that I'm thinking about on top of my head now, I mean, just amazing men. And how lucky are those kids to have a model like them? And so I'm gracious to have them as friends, but I'm also looking at it and saying, wow, you are great. And then I look at some of my friends that don't have father figures and how hurtful it is to them. And that really hurts me because they have the right and they should. And some have other fathers that have stepped in, stepfathers or other people that became fathers in their lives. And remember, this role isn't because of biological reasons. It's because of how you raise someone and it's the impact you have in their life. So as a father, and a father figure to children in school and to kids that I coach, and you possess a role that is so influential that you'll never know it until later on. Again, delayed gratitude. Really interesting. But to me, a great father is someone who is willing to sacrifice their time and energy to allow their family to grow and be healthy. I mean, you are sacrificing. And that's a big topic that I talked about in the last podcast. We're always going to sacrifice, for the people we love. This is our kingdom. They are part of my kingdom. I own this. And you're part of it. So I give because I have to build my kingdom. That's my role. These are my kids. This is my responsibility. This is what I do. Those are my future. And so when I see that and I say that, it is a badge. And I attribute my dad to a lot of things. I mean, to this day, I still rely on him and I still go to him and we talk and we have conversations. And even though I don't want to hear a lot of the things that are being said, they need to be said because it does make me understand a sign of respect that his words matter. And I just hope my kids have that same sense at some point. It is a respect thing. It is the only interest of a father is to make sure their kids are okay, that they're safe, that we provide. And so to this day, my dad still provides, still does in many different ways now. But yeah, he lets me go and make my mistakes and I have to. And I'm a grown man now. I can only imagine how it is when, you have these teenagers that are walking right into the real world out of college or going into college. I mean, that's so difficult to let go, but it's also exactly what you've been planning and working for and putting an effort towards. So I would say this. What would you say a great father's attributes are? I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say that the following list would be me telling you that all the great things that great fathers would give. I would say provides a stable and loving home, encourages children's growth, serves as a strong role model. I would say they have to be present, supportive, active, provide a sense of security and belonging, model positive emotional intelligence, ethical living. How do you live? Can you model that? Growth mindset, huge, huge part of my life. Challenges his children mentally and physically to grow. So that's a big part. How about models affection in front of his partner? If it's your wife or whoever you're with, like model that affection. Show them what happy and show them what loving looks like. So to your wife, go and show them that. How about this? Dependability, listens to children, discipline, sets boundaries, has structure, patience, is a protector, chooses quality time over his own personal time. I mean, there's so many lists of what fathers bring to the table when you call them a good father. And they're not perfect, just like mothers can have their days. So fathers do. And guess what? Tempers run high sometimes, and there's a lot of things that happen, but they love their children. And you can tell in a good father in just actions. So, I'm going to do this. I'm going to tell you a challenge. Man up. You're a father, man up. Be a better dad. That list that we just had, the conversations we're talking about, it's do better. These are your children. This is your pride. This is your way to prove your worth. And you decided to bring them in this world. So make them good, make them great, continue to provide. And when you do, be proud, show them, come back and have conversation, encourage them. Everything's not about sports. So guys, get that out of your head. Yeah, we're prideful of our kids getting to play and be a starter and do all these great things. I can care less. I mean, I want that for my son, for my daughter. I want that. I just want it because it's going to make them happy. It's going to build confidence in them. But when they lose or do something, I want to make sure they're getting the best effort and the best ability that they have. They're giving that. What happens when they don't? We need to work on effort and work on hard work. But when they don't win, okay, then we're gonna keep working. We understand that. So what I want you to do is just challenge you to be a better dad. Go out there and be present. Talk to your children, have conversation, learn about them. I mean, how many fathers just don't know about their children? Please do your best to actually learn who your children are, have a conversation, provide time, quality time with them, and that whole list that we just talked about. A role in your child's life that when you're all said and done, they come back and they're still needing dad when you're 45 years old, like me. Give some tribute to your dads and respect to your dads as well. Instead of just waiting until Father's Day, what's the appreciation? Thank you, Dad. I can't do this without you. Just those little words can make someone feel like the world. And some of you know what I mean, and some of you have fathers like that. So go out there, hug your dad, tell him thank you. Those of you that have supplements to a biological father that acted as your father, guess what? Stop calling it that. They're your father. I don't care what your blood looks like. Go give them tribute. Go show them that they're loved. Go show them that they're somebody that stepped up and did a role that they didn't have to, and you love them. So I'm going to say to my father, I love you. I'm going to say to my godfather who stepped up and did a role in my life, I love you. My uncles, the same thing. Huge impact on my life. They're fathers. They're amazing fathers. I got a chance to watch and witness some of these great men as great fathers. I love them for that. They're amazing people, and my cousins are lucky. My family is lucky. We've had a family that is full of great men. My cousins, great men, great fathers. I can't express that enough. In my family, I'm lucky. I really hope that you are the same way. So I'm going to leave you with that. Go challenge you to be a better father. If you are not a father, go and tribute your father as well. Signing off. Thank you.